Happy.
Ready to rock?
And roll.
Love it. Imelda, welcome to the Your PT podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm honoured.
Well, the honour is all ours. It's fantastic to have you in the office and the podcast studio.
Absolutely.
As it is. Very opportunist of us. You live locally.
I do. Yeah, not far down the road.
Yeah,
the right side of the bridge.
Apologies to any English listeners. But we have known each other for a couple of months in reality, haven't we? But
yeah.
I think we've had our relationship with the company you represent, Switch the Play,
that's it. Yeah, it's just kind of, organically we've crossed paths and it's growing from there, which is really exciting.
Absolutely. And I'm particularly excited today to have you opposite me because I think you'll put a bit of a different lens to our conversations. So your PT pod has been designed to give personal trainers, sound advice and authentic guidance to help them with their career pathways. Mm-hmm. And you're not from our sector.
No.
But I'm a firm believer in that we can get a lot of value and inspiration from people outside of our sector. Mm-hmm. So I think you're going to bring that in abundance today.
No pressure. I'll do my best, I promise.
and share your story because it's an intriguing one. You've got an intriguing background. And we're going to dive into all of that today. But I'd also like to draw some parallels to the work that you do with personal trainers by way of looking at networks, how you develop a network, how you build partnerships.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of the PTs we work with are self-employed and they have to work with, colleagues and peers to support, the service that they offer.
Yeah.
So we'll dive into all of that in today's session.
I'm looking forward to it.
As am I. So let's start with you, Imelda. So if you go from the start of your career journey to where you are today, that would be a great start.
Oh, crikey, how long have you got? Okay, so a bit about me. So was always into sport. So I actually, my sport was athletics. So I actually represented Ireland first time when I was 12. So long jump was my sport. So I had that international vest early on and continued to represent my country in long jump primarily.
Wow, okay.
As a junior international, absolutely loved it. And I think from that point on, I always knew my future career, whatever I worked in, it was always going to be sport based. I just, you live it, you breathe it, just loved it. So when it came time to go to university, I obviously was living in Ireland at the time with family and had a look and made the jump to Swansea University for sports science. At the time, kind of sport courses in Ireland weren't as well established as maybe the UK. And in all honesty, my biggest selling point, I was still competing at the time when I came to Wales, and people often laugh. So the only indoor athletics facility in Ireland at the time was an indoor track in basically in Nina, which was a converted cowshed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, which was very high tech at the time for Ireland in the athletic circles. I can say, honestly, it's improved a lot since then. But I remember coming to Swansea and obviously we did the tour around the courses and we had a look at the facilities, myself and my dad, and saw the indoor athletics track. And it was like, wow, this is a bit of me. It had heating, it was indoors, I didn't have to train on the grass or in the wet and the cold. So that was a big thing for me, my training setup at the time coming across. Course was amazing. Absolutely amazing lecturers. I had a lecturer, Liam Kilduff, who was also Irish, Irishman from Tullamore. And I really resonated with Liam. It was just nice to have a feel of home away from home. So I did 3 years in Swansea, did my undergraduate degree in sports and exercise science. In all honesty, I finished that and I just didn't know what I wanted to do.
It's hard, isn't it? It's such a diverse subject range as well when sport and exercise did exactly the same.
It's so broad. I was still competing at the time. I was still training 6 days a week, loving life. And I thought, what will I do? So I just did a master's because I could. Which sounds really terrible, but it was just like, let's buy myself another year. That year turned into 2 years. I did it kind of spread out because I was working 3 jobs at the time while training. Loved it. I did my master's. It was sports and exercise science, but it was basically a performance psychology focus was what I did my MSc in.
Okay.
Loved it. Graduated, had the best years at Swansea Uni, loved it. And then I started working. So I started my journey in sports development with the council.
Okay.
So again, knew I wanted to work in sport, wasn't quite sure in what area in particular. So with sports development, it was working in primary and secondary schools, basically going in delivering like sports sessions, which I just absolutely loved. I set up a satellite athletics kind of academy in Penrowell, and just loved it, working with different children, going into schools. Just that energy was just amazing. And I did that for quite a few years. I really enjoyed it. And then I found myself back at Swansea University.
Full circle moment,
but this time working in facilities.
Okay.
So I thought I'd try my hand at working in the facility sector of sport. A little bit different, really enjoyed it. So I worked in the athletics and hockey centre there. So again, home away from home. I was training there enough times in the week anyway. So I thought I may as well work there while I'm seeing as I'm living in the indoor track as it is.
Makes sense, yeah.
I did that for quite a few years. Managed to kind of work my way up to kind of supervisor, assistant manager role within that. Really enjoyed it. Got to work with some amazing organisations. NGBs like Hockey Wales would have some of their nationals and international fixtures with us at the facility. I worked the IPC event. We had Rugby World Cup with some of the teams based with us during that time. So just like incredible exposure to some really cool things. So I love that. And then an opportunity presented itself within the university. We had a head of sport there at the time, Steve Joel, who had come from a British sailing background. And Steve just kind of said, have you heard of a thing called TAS? And I was like, no, what is that? And it was, it's in England, it's an organisation, talented athlete scholarship scheme. And basically he was like, they've just opened up this brand new opportunity to become this like dual career accredited centre. Do you think this is something you'd be interested in carrying forwards? And I absolutely bit his hand off for the opportunity.
So these doors seem to just be opening up for you. I think
it was a bit of luck, I'll be completely honest. It was definitely right place, right time. But I think also when you're really passionate about what you do, it does kind of come across, and it's that energy. I think people pick up on it. And I think probably I was a lot younger then. So I think in my naivety, I thought, wow, this is super lucky. But in hindsight, I think you do sometimes attract opportunities when you kind of come 100%. And bring the right energy and with the right people. And I think sport's really special like that you do. Everyone can be quite similar, like it's a small pond anyways, but I think you kind of can attract people, gravitate towards it a little bit.
And sport is so powerful. I think it has that ability to capture you and keep hold of you, your emotions and your energy and your drive. And it's wonderful to see how you've curated your career then around something that you're passionate about.
Absolutely.
And it's the same for personal training. People often get into personal training because they love fitness, they love helping people.
Definitely.
It all comes from a really good place. And then we support them at RPT to work out the business dynamics, how to make a career out of it.
Incredible.
But it sounds like doors are opening, and you should probably... We should probably acknowledge that your work ethic is driving this as well.
Absolutely.
3 jobs while you were studying.
Yeah.
that says a lot about you as an individual.
Do you know something? I think it's sport people in general. I think we're just so driven. Yeah. I look back at when I used to train 6 days a week and working full time, and you just think, how did I ever fit it in? But when you're going through it, you don't question it. You just do it. It's it's not easy. That's why not everybody does it. Yeah. And I think I certainly see that working with athletes now, just that drive, that resilience, that passion, it sets people apart. Yeah. And I think at the time, like I said, you don't realise you're doing it. You just get on with it. You're just like, it's got to be done. But I loved every second of it.
I love it. Amazing. So TAS,
TAS kind of started my journey into, I guess, what I do now. So with the dual career accreditation, we became dual career accredited at Swansea University, first institute in Wales to be dual career accredited, which was incredible. Yeah. And what that meant was we had student athletes at the time that were due to go to Commonwealth Games. We had 2 actually, and basically what was happening, they were both on the same course, both applied for kind of extenuating circumstances, need a bit more flexibility. They were Commonwealths that year out in Australia, so you could imagine it was quite full on. One was kind of given the green light for the flexibility and the other one wasn't. And it was just kind of like, this task dual career, this can help athletes with their dual career ambitions. Why can't you do both? Why can't you study and get your degree and do professional sports alongside each other? So yeah, we created something special at Swansea. And basically what that grew into was a scholarship program that supported at its peak probably 95 athletes within the university, undergraduate and postgraduate, who were all different sports, some professional, some semi-professional, competing at the top end while studying alongside it. And that probably was what started my love for helping athletes and that kind of performance lifestyle approach, which is
absolutely
where it all started for me, really. I kind of fell into it in a sense, but it's so rewarding working with athletes on a one-to-one basis and just being able to help them on that journey a little bit.
Yeah, and I guess these organisations exist for the purpose of supporting athletes if they don't make it or if they drop out. There's a fallback option, which I think is really important to
that's
identify.
it. You see so many, it varies in sports from my experience. I think some people naturally, they'll go to university or they'll do other qualifications, but always for me it's options. Like, it doesn't have to be formal education, but you need to have something in your back pocket for a rainy day.
Yes, yeah.
Every athlete has a shelf life. No one wants to talk about the shelf life, ironically enough. And I get it. I certainly didn't when I was competing. I never wanted to think about when it was going to end, how it was going to end, if it would be on my terms, if it wouldn't be. And I think, that's how I see my job, is to kind of help athletes to kind of prepare for that. So when the day does come, they're in a good place, and it's not panic and hitting all the buttons thinking, oh God, what am I going to do next? It's more like, okay, no, it's cool. I've got a plan. And
I think that helps the athlete because it reduces anxiety, gives them assurances.
Absolutely.
It safeguards kind of their progression into whatever sector. And
it does.
There's probably a lot of crossover skills you learn from being an athlete that you can apply to any industry.
So dynamic. And I think with a lot of athletes I work with, it's helping them to realise just how transferable those skills are.
Yes.
I've worked with some athletes who've had Olympic medals and, they go for interviews and they don't mention it. I'm like, no, like, you lead with that. You wear the medal to the interview. It's amazing. But yeah, you'd be surprised how many athletes like confidence that, when you come out of the sporting sector, they don't realise just how transferable their skills can be and just how powerful that is and how special they are. So yeah, it's part of my job is to help them realise that.
Absolutely. And you probably lived experience with that as well.
Absolutely.
Because that's exactly what, your career pathway is taking you.
Yeah. So
from your involvement with TAS,
yeah, so it kind of grew from there then, and I headed up high performance sport then at Swansea University for a number of years. Okay. So a little bit more removed from working one-to-one. I was overseeing 8 different high performance programs through a variety of sports. Absolutely loved the fast-paced, high-pressure environment. Got to work with some amazing professional clubs, organisations, NGBs, grew relationships in that time. Yeah. Really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, then I, this year, hit a crossroads, and I just thought to myself, I'm really missing that one-to-one work with athletes and kind of being a bit more on the ground, and decided to take a leap of faith, and hence I've ended up with Switch the Play.
It's all fate. It all happened for a reason.
It's all happened for a reason.
and I guess that kind of brings me on to the first topic. So, it's brilliant to get your insights into your journey so far, Imelda, and the importance of partnerships has probably been quite prevalent along that journey as well.
Oh, definitely.
So I guess, how much do you rely on partnerships and developing strong bonds?
Oh, I can't tell you how important they are. I mean, partnerships are so valuable, and the right partnerships. And I think probably the longer I've worked in that area, it's finding the right partners that align to your values, shared goals, and trying to get that relationship right in terms of there is always going to be times where it's a bit more give or a bit more take, but the scales will always balance. But having experts in other areas and coming outside of your bubble, I think that's where partners are so valuable. You can't be an expert in everything. As much as we'd love to think we're all the fountain of knowledge, we're not. And I think being able to have valuable partners that we can just lean on when we need to and share those best practice, share that expertise, learn from other industries, learn from other areas, and try and share best practice and implement that. It's only going to make us better and stronger. And like that, as I said, we're not experts in everything. So it's being able to kind of lean on each other for where those gaps are. It's just so powerful having really good people you can connect with and work with.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that statement. And I think at your PT, we are living proof of that as well. So in our sector, there's commonly a bit of a skills gap with personal trainers when they first embark on their career, on having soft skills and being able to present and convey their message professionally. Because like we said earlier, we've got into the industry for all the right reasons. We want to help people. But there's often these gaps that we have to bridge. And we've launched a course this year with Ben Shepherd,
amazing,
the TV presenter. Because what better person to help soft skills, communication, presentation from a professional presenter.
Absolutely.
And it just happens, goes to show as well, he's big into his fitness. So there's a lot of crossover and there's a lot of understanding. But we've obviously got the relationship with your PT and Switch the Play.
Yeah.
We identify that, the athletes that you work with have that crossover skill set that can be so powerful in our industry. And we love, that partnership and the career progressions that we can offer.
Oh, absolutely. And I think for us, Switch the Play do amazing work. And for us, it's all about options. Like I said, when an athlete is transitioning out of their sport, having options. And again, working with your PT, having such a valuable partner that we trust, whose values align to us, that we know will take care of these athletes that are coming through our doors.
Definitely.
That's so important to us. And it's special because you're giving them opportunities for those transferable skills to really flourish in an industry, which is great.
Absolutely. And to pay some attention to a personal trainer's situation as well. The importance of partnerships in a personal trainer's world is so important as well. The majority, over 80% of PTs now in the UK are self-employed. Absolutely. So they are in full control of their destination and, what they do on a career basis. So alignment, building partnerships with physios, nutritionists, things of that nature are so powerful because you can almost create as a personal trainer this multidisciplinary approach where irrelevant to the person coming in, you can cater for them.
Oh, absolutely. It's that holistic athlete support. It's what I've banged the drum on for most of my professional career. And, having that multidisciplinary team is just so valuable and all connecting and, centering around the athlete. I think it's so easy to lose sight of the why sometimes when it's really busy. But there's something so powerful about several individuals who are specialists in their areas, like PTs, like nutritionists, like psychologists, like performance lifestyle, like the coach, all coming together with one shared goal, and that is that individual, and it's just so important. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And the crossover in skills is always an interesting one to me as well, Imelda. So from an athlete's perspective, athletes to me, they have the key components to be successful in our industry. First of all, they're used to rejection. So it doesn't always work out the plan. And they generally, athletes have good networks, great communicators. They're exposed to high levels of coaching. So naturally, you're absorbing a lot of information that you can apply into the sector.
Yeah, I don't think they realise half the time from working with a lot of athletes just how transferable the skills are. But you're dead right. Communication's normally amazing. I think athletes in general are just so resilient. How many setbacks you get, whether it's injuries, deselection, just things haven't panned out the way you want them to. And, it's that athlete DNA we talk about a lot, and a lot of recruitment, agencies, they're cottoning on to this athlete DNA and that it is transferable. And athletes make really, really not just good employees, but just good people. I think they're super motivated. They're really driven. They can set goals and targets. And I see a lot of it currently in my role with Switch the Play, where we get a lot of athletes who end up in like different sectors, like the finance sector, because again, sales, anything like that, where it's setting goals and targets, it's massively transferable. And I think once you're in sport, you get a lot of athletes who still want to give back. They still want to be involved in that area. And like you said, James, they're used to being coached.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's an awful lot of transferable skills.
Yeah, and it's something we're looking at in our world as well, Imelda. We deal with burnout quite a lot. From your experience, is burnout quite prevalent within the athlete community that you tend to see?
Yeah, I think it depends on the sport. I think it depends on the cycle as well. Like you see a lot more post-Olympic year or post kind of major cycles. Yeah. It's very difficult when an athlete is working for one event, one competition that may last, I don't know, 12 seconds, and it happens once every 4 years.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
It's crazy. And there's a lot of pressure on that moment.
Yes,
and depending on the event and the cycle. And I think it's trying to get everything to align, and you're very switched on for a very long time in the build up to that to kind of achieve those goals. Yeah. And I think we're all human at the end of the day. I think people forget that about athletes. We're all human. They're human. And I think they're affected just as much by other things as you and I are. So I think burnout, you do see it. And I think people are getting better at recognizing the signs of burnout and preventing it, definitely. I think there's far more awareness that I see currently than probably what there was 10 years ago around signs of burnout and kind of how to prevent it or step in so you're not kind of getting to those end stages where it's so much harder to bounce back from.
100%. And we're very much within our sector moving into like a well-being space. So like
Love
fitness
that.
Professionals, personal trainers in particular, are seen, the future of personal training, in my opinion, is they have to be versatile. They have to be able to wear many different hats. They have to be in tune to the psychology, the, NLP side of things, and the lifestyle change that we can embark onto our clients and networks. So, I think we're definitely moving in that direction from a fitness perspective. Okay, so the next bit I want to discuss is just a day in the life of what your world looks like, a Switch the Play. So, a typical day situation in your world. Yeah,
so for anyone who doesn't know, so Switch the Play, it's the only UK charity that helps athletes transition out of their sport, which is just amazing because I've worked with so many athletes in sports and at their peak and pinnacle of their sport. But as I said, no one wants to talk about what comes next. So what the work that Switch the Play do is just phenomenal. So my role with the charity, so I'm an athlete engagement manager, and ultimately I'm the first point of contact an athlete will have with us. So I've inherited the name The Gatekeeper. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But ultimately, if an athlete needs to access support, they can request it on our website and they come through to me. So I'll reach out initially and I'll set up what we call a discovery call. So that is just jumping on a call. I often say it's a virtual cuppa. So I'll come on with a cup of tea and we'll just have a chat. And really, it's just so I can get to know a little bit more about them and what the journey has been. So not all athletes that come to Switch the Play will be at that point of transitioning out. Some will, but others, they may just be contemplating, how can I get in a good space? What can I kind of do? What is that plan B or plan in the back of my pocket for a rainy day? So we do a lot of work with athletes, kind of preventative work or preparation work in advance, which is amazing because that means there's less fires to put out, which is hopefully less work for me down the line. But a typical day, so discovery calls, absolutely that is what I love. That is what I'm passionate about, sitting down with athletes, getting to know them, getting to know like where they're at on their journey, what support they need. That is my job. And then, my job then is I can refer and signpost on, and we've got so much support available. We offer, we've got a PCP, which is our psychological care care pathway. So that is our mental health support. So we've got some clinical therapists that we cover 6 sessions for, but we also then have some sports psychologists that we can refer to, even things like breath work, which is I'm still getting on board with. I'm I'm a skeptic. I have done some courses, which are amazing, but again, it's having that variety of offering for athletes, because it's not a one size fits all. It's maybe people don't want to go down the clinical, maybe they've had a bad experience of something like that prior.
Of course, yeah.
They might want to just try something different. It's just about supporting them. We've also then got some mentors, some teammates, and they just do an amazing job. So some of them are like ex-athletes. Some of them have won Olympic medals. Others are just incredibly established in their industry. So what we do is an athlete can go on a mentoring journey with them. We cover 6 sessions and they can work on anything. So that could be their values, their identity. It might be as straightforward as in, I want to set up a business. How do I do that?
Perfect.
So they basically just have that safe space to work one-to-one with somebody. We've obviously got your PT. So we now signpost across as your PT for an option, which is just amazing. And then we also work with other companies called Centrum Solutions, another partner. Again, they help around that employment element, CVs, LinkedIn, kind of like your shop window. And then we've got our hub, which is where all of our information lives. That is our athlete community. So athletes can kind of sign up and go on there and just speak to other athletes who are going through the same thing. Which is huge. So my day-to-day generally, it's lots of discovery calls, lots of referring and signposting on. But I think what's really special about what I do is I get the privilege, firstly, of holding that space of an athlete. Like, nice. I can't say how special that is for someone to, put themselves forward and request that discovery call in the first place is a privilege. Yeah. But then to hold that space is quite special. So that time I have with them where, they're opening up and telling me about them, and that's not easy to do. And I like to share. I like to share my story. So it's a privilege to hold that space, and then to walk that journey with them is really special. And that isn't just a one call. Some of these athletes for months, years, you walk alongside them, the ups and the downs of that journey. You see that initial transition, sometimes a secondary transition a few years down the line, which, but you're there for all of it. So that's the athlete facing stuff. That is what I love. That is the powerful stuff. And then the other side of it is the partnership stuff, which I absolutely love as well. And that probably comes from my role in the HE sector in high performance sport. I really enjoyed kind of forging those partnerships, creating those building blocks and those foundations. And that is certainly an element of my current role that I absolutely love as well.
But it's always nice to enjoy your job, isn't it?
Oh, what is it they say? Love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And it's very true. I
agree. And the athletes are very lucky to have you in their corner.
Oh, you're very kind.
And aside from that as well, I think it's important to identify that in life we always reach these blocks, and sometimes they can be mental blocks, and just ensuring that an athlete can get past that and move forward in a positive direction can be so impactful.
And it's not for me to make decisions. It's my role is to give them options. Yes. And it's for them to have enough options to make an informed decision moving forward. They make that decision and I just walk alongside them. Yeah. And that's very special. And as you said, we all go through it. But it's, as I said, it's not easy being an athlete. It's not easy doing dual career. It's not easy coming out of sports. That transition can be really scary when it's all you've known for maybe 20 years. Yeah. How do you go to the new normal? That jump and leap of faith can be quite daunting. Yeah. So that's my job, is to give them options and support so it's less scary.
I love the fact that you spend the time as well, because I think often this does translate to our world. So when we have an applicant at your PT, we spend time fact finding. We never prejudge the individual. No. Because it's important to really get into the weeds of what's important to them.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter what we think is good.
No, and no two people are the same. And I think from all my years, I've worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of athletes, all different backgrounds, different ages, different sports. And I don't think I've ever come across two individuals that are exactly the same. And I think that's where that support, that journey has to be tailored. It has to be personal. Yes. It has to work for the individual, similar to PT. You got to spend the time, get to know them, get to know their support network, their family, their background, their passions, just all of it, that story. And I'll often sit in a discovery call and I'll ask someone, like, tell me about you.
Yeah.
And the first response I'll get is, how far back do you want to go? And I'll say, as far as you like. I'm here all day. So if we want to go right the way back to where that sporting journey started, whether you were 5 years old and your first kind of exposure to sport, or if you just want to bring me back to 12 months ago, you kind of navigate that journey for me and take me on it. Like, let's take me on that journey with you and let's chat through it. And it's really special. So
it seems to me that you've become very proficient at your questioning. and
I think I've naturally probably just developed it over the years. Yeah.
And do you think the psychology background has given you some good grounding in
I
that
think
space?
so, yeah. I think without me realising it probably has. But I think having the experience myself of being an athlete, and, you know, I was forced to retire from sport through injury, and if I'd known Switch the Play was available to me back then, another lifetime ago, like, absolutely, it would have been a godsend, because it's really tough to navigate that. But I think that shared experience of being able to relate to someone and say, I know what you're going through, I know what it feels like, I know it's scary, and sharing, you know, it's important to share your vulnerabilities as well. It's not about sitting in an ivory tower saying, tell me everything about you, and I'm not going to share anything. We're all human, we all go through it, and it's about that shared experience and showing them that, do you know what, you're going to come out the other side, it's going to be okay. I'm going to walk that journey with you. We'll do it together, but you're going to look back, whether it's in 12 months, 5 years, 10 years, and you're going to say, wow, like, it's all been all right. And that's what's most important.
Yeah, it is. It is the most important. And to extend it as well to the personal trainers dealing with clients, the questioning in your early relationship,
absolutely key.
You've got to tread the line, haven't you? It's got to be bang on.
And as you said, you wear many hats. It's not as simple and black and white. You juggle a lot of plates all the time. And someone used to ask me before, like, you know, if you could say in one word, what is your job? And this was when I was overseeing, scholarship program at the university. And I said, in a nutshell, I feel like I'm mum to about 90 individuals. Because it's whatever they need. And some of the stuff I've helped athletes with over the years, some have been ordering sofas on DFS, setting up bank accounts. Sometimes it's just a cuppa and a chat. And because you know what, that's what that individual needed at that time. It's that safe space and having someone in your corner. And that's what's important. There's no hard and fast rules with it. It's just being a really passionate, good person. That's a good listener that can help.
Yeah. And you probably lose sight of that with athletes, because, a lot of athletes, particularly if I look at football and rugby as an example, you're fed and watered on a daily basis. Your kit's cleaned, things of this nature. Sometimes it's the practical skills, I guess.
Oh, I've had so many athletes over the years, like, how do I cook? When we had lockdown, one of the things we actually did was we had virtual kind of like CPD for athletes, and we actually got a chef to do a cook along. And I think out of everything we offered in lockdown, that was the most popular. We'd send out the ingredients a few days beforehand, and we would have about 50 athletes on Zoom, all in their kitchens, just cooking along. But it is those skills, and people forget, especially working in the HE sector, these athletes are like 18 coming to university. So for a lot of them, it's their first time away from home. It's quite daunting that they've suddenly got a budget, they've got to cook for themselves, they've got to manage their time, they've got to manage a dual career. It's hard. And that's probably where the mum to 90 odd athletes comes in, where it's like, what do I do with this? And it's like, okay, let me help. It's definitely, I think those foundation skills, you can't underestimate how important they are, and the foundations that they give individuals, as they progress throughout their life. It's stuff that will stick with you.
Yeah. No, 100%. The human touch is so important. And this, we were talking before we started the episode today, weren't we, about AI?
Oh yeah.
And kind of how you can put anything into there now, and it'll give you some sort of explanation and some guidance. And to be fair, largely when you look on a broad scale, it's good. It's good, solid information. Yeah. It's just pulling from a really tight data pool, but when it comes to the individualization, you can only get to that point when you ask questions and you fact find and you build that relationship and a level of trust. It's come across today that the level of trust that you get onto with the athletes that you represent.
Oh, it's massive. And it's that rapport, isn't it? It's getting to know the individual. Them getting to know you, though, it has to be that two-way street. And you're absolutely right, James. I think that rapport and that relationship, that is the key to it working. That trust, because they're trusting you to be in their corner. That's massive.
Yeah.
Especially when, sports, especially professional sport, doesn't always foster those kind of relationships. It can be quite difficult to open up about things. In certain areas or environments, people are worried, it could hinder selection. Or, if I'm not feeling 100%, I don't want people to perceive me as weak, or that, I need support in this area. And it's like, absolutely not. And I think that is the USP for Switch the Play, is we are completely independent. We are that safe place. We are the athlete voice. We're in your corner. Yeah. And I think that is just so powerful for athletes who are still in their sport.
Yeah.
And those coming out of it as well. It's that impartial, unbiased support for just them. It's all about them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And on that point, I guess, as well, Imelda, and this is not a question that we've run through anything, but
it's okay.
It's really interesting. So the psychology stuff is a passion of mine as well. And have you ever dealt with a situation where you've had an athlete at almost like crisis point, and in that situation, how have you helped navigate the journey for them?
So many.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So many. And again, different backgrounds. Dealt a lot with safeguarding, issues, and mental health. I've come across some athletes at the lowest of the low, somewhere, they've been probably at risk of taking their own life and have been in a really dark place. And, I think it sounds crazy to say it, but I think you see it a lot in sports. You see it a lot outside of sports, but I think depending on an athlete's situation, when it's all they've known, everything can seem so dark at that time. And I think, again, it comes back to that privilege of holding that space. And I think someone reaching out to you, telling you that they're feeling in that space is the glimmer of hope, as in they want help, they want support. And it's been my privilege to help people in that space. And I do think it takes a little bit of you. I will honestly say that. I think I can picture the faces and the names as I'm talking, because I think it will always stay with you, because ultimately you care. And I do care. And I think I've followed those athletes, I'm going back 10, 15 years, even with some of these that I'm thinking that, I've had people break down in front of me, and I've almost broken down with them, because it's the human in you. And, I've worked with athletes for years, but looking back and seeing them come out of that and getting that support and seeing them thrive where they are now, that's really special. But absolutely. And I think that's the importance with Switch the Play. That's why we've got the whole PCP pathway. That mental health component is, we see it all the time. And it may not be, I'm not talking just the far end of the scale around suicide and different things, but it may be around anxiety. It might be around depression. It may just be, as you said, just blockers that just not feeling me, and I don't understand why. And a lot of people carry things like anxiety and stress and don't realize it, because again, they can be quite high functioning in that space and just think, I'll just get on with it. But it's all right to sit down and go, it's all right to not be okay, and we can have a conversation and we can help. So absolutely.
And you're playing a pivotal role in that, and it doesn't come without building that relationship, putting the hard work in. So you are emotionally invested in that
absolutely.
And you can tell from speaking
for better
to you
or for worse, I'm not sure.
and it's the same for personal trainers. They're often emotionally invested in the client journey. And ensuring that they hit their aspirations and targets. And life will throw some curveballs at
life is good at throwing curveballs.
Absolutely.
At all of us. But no, I think, when you invest that time, James, as you said, especially with PT, you get to know any individual. I think you will always carry a little part of them as part of your journey, and they'll help shape your journey and your experience. And when you come across the next person, you learn from every single athlete I've worked with, I've learned from. And I've taken something from that, and it's shaped me into the person and the practitioner I am today. And I think it's probably exactly the same in the PT space, that you take a little bit of their journey and it shapes you as a PT as well.
No, it certainly does. And I think with that in mind, Imelda, so it's important to fill your cup up before you can fill anyone else's up because you're emotionally invested. Do you have any tips or strategies that keeps you grounded and helps you perform at your optimal level?
Yeah, it's hindsight's a wonderful thing.
We always learn, don't we?
We always learn, and we always learn. I don't know if it's the athlete in me, but we always learn the hard way, don't we? And I think, we talked about burnout. I think if I look back at my career, I would say I definitely did not get the balance right going back a few years ago. I definitely did not fill my cup, or maybe I thought I did, but I didn't. And again, you can only sustain that for so long. And I think it's really important to get that balance right. And I think, the older and wiser you get, there's certainly something to be said for it. Nowadays, I would say I've definitely got a better work-life balance.
Good. Okay.
And I think probably for me, I really found it was probably a bit of a coincidence, really, COVID times. God, going back to COVID. Just thinking about, I realised I just love being out in nature. It kind of helps ground me. Would never have thought I would have said that. But I just love walks. I've got 2 golden retrievers that are absolutely bonkers. It's like having 2 extra children. It's one of those when you go for a mental health walk and the dog just drives you to poor mental health. My dog rolling in God knows what. Nature definitely for me, being outdoors. Someone said to me years and years and years ago, so I grew up in a seaside town in Ireland called Youghal, right by the sea. I'm not a lover of the ocean, as in I don't really tend to go swimming in it. Petrifies me, probably a healthy fear growing up. But when I moved to Swansea, someone passed a comment and they said, when you grow up by the ocean, you're always drawn back to it. And at the time I thought, no, don't be daft. And then obviously I moved to Swansea where the ocean was literally across the road from the university. And now I don't live all that far from the Gower, and I do love a walk on the beach. And I kind of look back and chuckle now and I think, wow, maybe they had a point with what they were saying. Yeah. But definitely being outdoors, and I've got a 6-year-old daughter, and it's just a magical age, and just immersing myself in just being a bit silly again. Yeah. I think when you grow up, there's almost this rule of like, we can't have fun with things. I definitely think a lesson I take forward with everything is just have fun with it, be a bit silly with it, get on the ground, get messy, have a bit of fun with it. Yeah. I just think there's a lot to be said for acting a little bit childlike.
There's nothing wrong with it, and it's so refreshing. It's so refreshing to hear. I think we can be so serious in life.
Absolutely.
Sometimes chasing aspirations, and you do feel like you're in a bit of a race, don't you? And
all the time. That
can be high pressure.
And I think the thing for me is learning, I think and you're probably exactly the same, when you come from sport, it's so competitive. I see traits in that in my daughter. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Everything's a race. It's great. She'll probably be an absolute terror when she's older, or she'll be super successful, one of two. But I think when I see, like, we had our Christmas do with Switch last week, and we played crazy golf, and my God, it got so competitive.
Who won? I've got to ask who won.
Oh, Grace won. I did come in second, but I had a hole in one on the last hole. So, but I think it is that element of like that competitiveness never leaves you, and it's having fun with it. And it's like, okay, it's not about winning medals anymore, but you can still channel that into having a bit of fun and doing things that, when I was an athlete, I wasn't able to go and do some of these activities because, if you got injured, good luck. But actually being able to just have fun. And I often say that to athletes I work with is like, I think that competitive DNA, you just never really lose it.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah.
Just channel it into something that is a bit more fun. It helps you switch off, but it also makes you feel good about yourself as well. Yeah. So I think that helps with the balance a little bit.
Having a level of anxiety, and it shows that you care, so that's never a bad thing, but it's when it spills over and becomes counterproductive.
And it's recognizing the signs of that is definitely key, I think. And I think it's something everyone has to learn about themselves. You got to learn what makes you tick. You got to learn what makes you relax. And I genuinely think it's a journey, and I think it evolves, and I think it changes. I've spoken to so many individuals who are like, this really works for me, and then I might see them again in 5 years and they're like, that was a phase, that doesn't work for me anymore. But I've now found this, and I'm like, that's amazing. Like, we always evolve, and that's not a bad thing. Change is good. We just have to embrace it.
I think when you find your thing that grounds you as well, don't be afraid just to stick to it as well.
Yeah.
If it's working, don't reinvent the wheel.
If it works, and sometimes it's the simpler things. Like, I started running this year for the first time in, I don't know how long. And, my old coach would laugh. I used to whinge about jogging 400 metres of a track for my warm up because long jumper, I never ran more than 100 metres flat out. It was all short and sharp. And I started running 10Ks this year.
Wow. Fantastic. Well,
but again, I was like, am I having a midlife crisis in my 30s? I'm started running, and I did promise my dad, I said I'm not going to sign up to any half marathons, I promise. But again, it was really nice. It was me time to get out in the fresh air in nature and just run, a bit of music on. But it just works, and sometimes, simpler is better, I think.
I can guarantee you're going to sign up to a half marathon next year.
If we're back here in 12 months' time and I have permission to tell me off.
Absolutely. I'll be keeping a tab on that, Imelda.
I'll have to start a GoFundMe just for my knees and my back.
The point around the ocean, I couldn't agree more. I think there's some psychology in that.
I think there has to be.
I went to Loughborough for 3 years to do my degree. Same course.
Yeah.
Sport and exercise.
Nice.
And I was landlocked. And I missed the Gower.
You just miss the sound of the ocean, and it's weird. And like I said, when someone said it to me all those years ago, I laughed. I thought, you're crazy. It absolutely, the older I get, and I love going home. And when I go back to see my parents, the very first day I'm back, I'm down that beach. They've got I think it's a 2 or 3 kilometer boardwalk, and it's the first place I go. I'll go down with my parents and we'll just go for a walk, and it's home. It's lovely.
And we're finding now that personal trainers are getting more in tune with this sort of stuff as well. Our very first podcast actually was with a local PT called Andrew Tyrrell, and he's famous around Swansea for his Mad Rambler group. So it's a group of guys, and they go on, various walks around the Gower, and they get into nature. Yeah. And they're all business people as well. So they are very strict with their time, but they all dedicate a day a month.
They see the importance of it.
Because they see the importance. But I think personal trainers need to be positioning themselves to have these conversations.
Definitely.
Why is nature important? Why is red light therapy important?
Yeah.
Why is cold therapy, heat therapy,
absolutely,
hyperbaric chambers, things of this nature?
It's all outside the box and outside the bubble, isn't it?
Need to be positioned to have the conversation, because I think personal trainers have a massive job to do in supporting the health of our nation in future years. And I think having this narrative, having this understanding around these different elements is really important, because clearly it's working. And it's what you are saying is supporting your optimal performance on a daily basis.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, it's not one size fits all. It's all about options. Yeah. So again, having someone coming along to PT, it's having options. Maybe nature is something that works for an individual. Maybe it is hot and cold contrast therapy. You just don't know. Definitely. But it's definitely adding those kind of feathers to your bow is just kind of
When we're building communities and we're reaching members of the public who have never been in their local leisure centre, what better way to start? By taking a walking group, building up the confidence, building a relationship, and then inviting them into what was perceived as an intimidating environment.
Absolutely.
Come to my gym, let's have a workout. I'm going to show you about strength training now that you've started building your confidence, building your cardiovascular.
We've got that rapport then from day one, see?
Absolutely. Well, there's
full circle.
There's method in the madness. I knew. Imelda, that's you've covered so much ground today.
Oh, thank you.
It's been intriguing to just sit here and listen to your journey. What's made you tick? What's enabled you to propel your career in such a positive direction? And as a rule of thumb on the podcast, we always give the final word to the guest.
I'm honoured.
So I'd like to finish this one off today, just to tap into that a little bit more. So, in your experience, what would be the number one tip someone would consider if they are career minded, if they're looking to progress, they're looking to move forward in their career, and they could be at any stage? What would be the number one tip you would suggest to someone?
Oh, it's a big question, that. My biggest take, I would say, being quite honest, is don't pigeonhole yourself into what you think you should do. Just open yourself up to opportunity. And I think my biggest thing is just don't say no to things. I think leave yourself open, take a chance. You never know what a conversation. Someone once said to me, everything is worth the price of a cup of coffee.
That's brilliant, yeah.
Have a coffee, have a conversation. You just never know where these things are going to go, and just be open to change. And if you had said to me 10, 15 years ago that this is what I would be doing now, when I was doing my degree, I would never have thought this area of industry and sport was even an option, because at the time it wasn't. It was very like, sports science is quite an open degree, as you know, anyways, in terms of areas. I always knew I wanted to work in sport, didn't quite know what pigeonhole in sports I kind of fit into. But then down to the crux of it, I just loved helping people. I loved working in that environment. I loved walking that journey, that one-to-one. And that's what I've come back to inevitably after 15 years. That's what I'm doing now, and that's what I love. And I wouldn't be here doing that if I didn't have the cup of coffee, have the conversation, leave myself open to opportunity, and take a chance. Yeah. So that would be my take. Take a chance, have the coffee.
I think it's a great, have the coffee. Have plenty of coffees. And I think there's so many lessons in there. And, you know, a typical example is today's session.
Yes.
You've never done a podcast before.
Never done a podcast before, but we had a cup of coffee.
We had a cup of coffee. You said yes.
We had a conversation.
Here we are. And there's, I totally agree with that principle. And I think when you look back on your careers, doors only open because of those, you know, taking the chance, saying yes, having the conversations.
Yeah. And sport is just a small, you know, people think it's a massive landscape. It's a small pond, and it's filled with really good people. So connect, have the coffee, have the conversation. You just never know what opportunity will come knocking. Absolutely. So, yeah.
Well, listen, thank you so much for spending the time. It's been a privilege to host you today. We love the relationship that we've developed with Switch the Play. We're really excited for everything that we got planned out for next year as well.
It's going to be special.
Absolutely.
It's going to be special.
And the you know, we always want the best talent within our sector, and in particular with your personal training. And to have the ability to have these conversations and offer the career pathways into our sector is really important to us.
No, I'm excited. It's going to be an exciting year next year.
It certainly is. It certainly is. Thanks, Imelda.
Thank you
Great
so
job.
much. Thank you.
Absolutely loved having you on.
Thank you so much. Cheers, James.
Yes.
Fun.
Thank
you.
Well done.
You made that easy.
That was easy. Really slick, really smooth.